everyone, I'm filming, as you can tell, from a very different location today. I'm actually in London at the moment with my mum, and we are cat sitting for a friend of mine, so I'm staying in her lovely flat right by Battersea Park. And I've had a bit of a disaster already because Mum accidentally dropped my vlogging camera. So I'm making do with my iPhone right now. So just, you'll have to bear with me, I'm afraid. I still wanted to be able to vlog a bit. The camera is in for repairs, but I won't get it back for quite a few days. So I'm just trying to use my iPhone, and this will be just quite a casual video in that way. So I can still sort of take you around and show you a bit of what we're doing. But the camera was dropped on the very first sort of day we were here. So I've pretty much got no footage from that camera. But never mind, we're still having a really lovely time. The cats are so sweet. My friend has two ragdolls called Leo and Simba, and we've stayed here and cat-sitted before. We were here last October, and so they already know us a bit. I think they remembered us, which is really nice, and they're just such sweet, adorable cats. So it's lovely to get to spend time with them. But of course, I'm also really thrilled to be back in London for a bit and having a bit of a holiday. And dropping my vlogging camera in a way reminded me that I'm also meant to be having a holiday and to remember to just slow down and take some time for myself as well, which is good because I am still feeling quite tired after having COVID, and I tried to do a lot of filming before we left for London, so I still would have videos going up while I was away, and I was actually exhausted when I first arrived here. So it's also been nice. We've been going out, but we've also just been spending some time just chilling at the apartment and having a nice time relaxing. But I thought I would still give you a bit of an update. So we have gone to a couple really nice areas. We've returned to some of our favourite places in London. And the first day we went to the Charles Dickens Museum and wandered around Bloomsbury a bit. Bloomsbury is of course one of my favourite places to go. It is sad that Persephone Books is no longer there, but we stopped by the London Review of Books bookshop, which is always so fabulous. So we had a fun time just wandering around, and I'd never been to the Charles Dickens Museum before actually, neither had Mum, so we really wanted to go there. Even though I lived in London for so long, there were some places I just never got to. You know how it is when you actually live somewhere. And so we're playing the tourists a bit this time too. So we went to the Dickens house, and that was really great to see. It was fascinating to see the desk that he worked at, and there were some very beautiful rooms in the house and just full of so much history. I also really recommend going and having a drink in a little outside cafe in the courtyard. It's very, very pretty to sit out there. And we didn't really fancy the food, but it was just really nice to have a drink and sit and enjoy ourselves. And that was where the camera was dropped on the sort of very hard stone flagged courtyard. But never mind, at least it is fixable, which is great. And then we just went to Lamb's Conduit Street. We went to one of our very favourite places for lunch, which is called Noble Rot, and that's on Lamb's Conduit Street. They do the most reasonable and delicious set lunch menu. I really recommend it. I'm such a fan of set lunch menus, so is my mum. I think it's from having lived for quite a long time in France. We would go to restaurants and always get the menu du jour or the plat du jour. We're not fussy eaters, so we quite like to just go and have a set menu somewhere because you generally get such good food at a very reasonable cost. And Noble Rot in London does one of the best set menus. I really recommend it. But yes, we had a lovely time in Bloomsbury. And then another real highlight already is that we went to the Garden Museum. And another kind of complication to this journey to this trip has been, there's been a lot of train strikes as well as tube strikes. So on the day of a lot of tube strikes, we fortunately could just get a bus really easily to the Garden Museum, and that was so worth doing. I really recommend going there if you're in London. It's one of my favourite small museums, and it's perfect to go to on a lovely sunny day as well, because again, they've got an amazing cafe. So I'm always one for the cafes at museums, and this one really is lovely. There's a beautiful courtyard, and you can sit outside or you can sort of sit just inside, but they open the doors so you can look out, and the cakes were so good, and we had a lillet and soda as well as coffee and tea, and it just felt really like we were on holiday. But I did film a bit there, so I'll show you some of the clips from the museum. We went to the Secret Garden exhibition, and that was so worth seeing. But let me insert the footage that I got from the museum so you can have a look yourselves. Okay, I've just propped my iPhone up there so I can have free hands, because I wanted to show you what I got from the Garden Museum. As you can tell, we had a really lovely time there, and I love museums that have great cafes and great gift shops, and I wanted to show you what we got. So I got a couple of books, a big surprise, from the Garden Museum. I got this little one called The Cottage Garden, which I just think looks so sweet, and looks very interesting. It's all about the history of the cottage garden. It says hollyhocks and cabbages, roses and runner beans. English cottage gardens combine beauty and utility, pride and productivity. They are immortalised in images of thatched cottages with flower-filled borders and ducks on the path. But what was the reality of the cottage garden? So this just describes the history of the English cottage garden, and I really can't wait to read that properly. And then I got this beautiful edition of The Secret Garden. I actually saw this edition in the exhibition that we went to at the Garden Museum, And it just looked so special with the little maps and different little illustrations and just special things found within the pages that I really, really wanted to get this edition. It's illustrated by Mina Lima, and I'm not sure, it's Harper Design, the publisher. I think it's an American one actually, and they just had one left in the gift shop, so I just swooped on it and I was so thrilled to be able to get it. I think it's just a very special edition of the book, and there are lots of little treasures inside, and it will also always remind me of a really special afternoon seeing that exhibition at the Garden Museum and a lovely time in London. So I was really thrilled to pick that up. And then we did a bit of shopping on Lowndes Conduit Street as well. So we went to two of my favourite shops there. Like I said, I really missed Persephone Books, but two of my favourite shops are still there. One is Pentreath and Hall and the other is Maggie Owen's. And from Pentreath and Hall, I got a new Burley mug, which I think will be perfect for the autumn. I'll show it to you because I was just so excited when I saw it. Here it is. I just love that beautiful green, and it's so autumnal looking. I really like the shape of this mug as well. I think it's a very elegant but classic shape. So I'm so thrilled with that, and I'm so excited for autumn to come now, and I can't wait to have cups of tea or cozy hot chocolates out of this mug. I think it's so beautiful. And you know I have mainly blue and white Burley china pieces and some pink and white, but I think this is the first green and white item that I've got. So I just think that's perfectly autumnal, and I was really excited to get that. And then my mum felt really guilty about dropping my camera, though it was really just an accident, just one of those unfortunate things. But she got me these earrings. These are from Maggie Owen, and I was just so thrilled with them. And I haven't had new earrings actually for a very long time, I realised, and it was just so fun to get a new pair, and I've been wearing them non-stop ever since. I just love them. I love the emerald green colour. I think that's just so lovely, and again, perfect for autumn coming. I really seem to be going through for greens a lot at the moment. I got Mum a little pair of earrings too. I wanted to get her some bigger ones, but they didn't suit her ear, so she chose these little studs instead, and they looked really pretty. But I love the shop Maggie Owen. She does great costume jewellery, like very unusual different pieces, and what she also stocks is wonderful stationery too, lots of lovely cards. So of course we couldn't resist getting a few cards. I love to buy cards in person. I mean, I will order them online, but it's also so nice to see them in person, and I haven't found so many places yet in Yorkshire that have a really great range of cards, and I always used to buy quite a few from Maggie Owen. So I'll just quickly show you the cards that I got. I've sort of stocked up quite a bit, but I was really thrilled to be in a place that just was selling lots of lovely cards. I really like this one. This is by Richard Borden, called Tea. Not a surprise that I like that one so much. And I used to have this card, but I gave it to someone, and now I'm buying it again just to have it for me. And U is for Unicorn, that's Emily Sutton's latest print. This one is so beautifully autumnal. That's going in my autumn stack. And this was a Vanessa Bell card that I hadn't seen before, so I was really thrilled to pick that up. So yes, those were the cards that I got. I got a couple of packs of cards too. This Laura Knight one, I absolutely love Laura Knight's designs. So this is one of the cards, and this is the other one. that's in this pack. I really love these packs. I always think they're very reasonable, and I love to get a few of these Art Angels packs just to have to hand, because you never know when you need to give someone a card. So I got the Laura Knight one, and then this Winifred Nicholson one, which I really like. That's one of the card designs, and then that's the second card design in here. So I was really thrilled to pick up those as well. I always like getting some stationery. And then over the weekend, I did go to Liberty quickly because I had a £20 gift voucher to spend, and it was about to expire. So I had to go and choose something. And I remembered that Liberty stock Emma Bridgewater. So you know how much I love Emma Bridgewater, and I got a new mug from Liberty with my gift voucher. I also adore robins, as you'll know if you've been following my channel at all, and I just love this latest robin design. It's such a cheeky looking little robin somehow, but just so sweet. And this is making me again excited for autumn and winter coming, and to sort of changing over some of the china on my dresser in the kitchen back at home. So I was so thrilled to get that as well. So yes, we've been doing some amazing shopping already. It's been so much fun. I have also been doing some reading, and I finished a book actually whilst I was here, because we had a couple just quiet days because I was feeling quite tired. So we just hung out with the cats and I read, and that was lovely. And I finished this book, Death of Jezebel by Christiana Brand. This was sent to me by the publisher. It's one of the British Library Crime Classics series, and I really enjoyed it. I spoke about Christiana Brand's other book on my YouTube channel before, which was Green for Danger, and I thought that was fantastic. I didn't guess who the murderer was with that one, which I often do guess because I've read so many murder mysteries, especially golden age crime style ones by this point, that you start to recognize, you know, familiar patterns. So it's always exciting to me if I don't guess who the murderer is, and I thought it was just very cleverly done. And this one, Death of Jezebel, was also very clever. I didn't like it as much as Green for Danger. It was just a bit too much of a fantastic plot, and it was quite unbelievable. I mean, all murder mysteries are unbelievable, but this one really kind of stretched you a bit too far, I felt. However, it was still just a fun, cleverly put together mystery. So I enjoyed it for that, and it was quite an interesting take on the sort of locked room mystery, because this one took place in during a pageant and in a sort of stage tower. So a tower very flimsily, you know, put together. But the victim was somehow strangled while she was in this tower in full view of the audience, and it being seemingly impossible for anyone else to have got near her at the time of death. So it was quite a cleverly put together mystery, and I definitely recommend reading it if you're a fan of golden age crime books. But yes, so that was just a nice light read that I've already finished in my time in London. But anyway, now we're going to go to the Chelsea Physic garden and have a little walk around Chelsea and just enjoy being out in the sunshine for a bit. So I'll catch up with you again later. The Chelsea Physic Garden was first established in 1673 by the Worshipful Society of Apothecaries of London in order to grow medicinal plants and herbs. It is the oldest botanic garden in London, and it is a wonderful, peaceful oasis in the city. The high brick walls and twisting pathways remind me of the secret garden, and I have many happy memories of going to the Chelsea Physic garden every year to see the first snowdrops in bloom when I lived in London. Of course, it's a beautiful destination in the summertime too, and I recommend getting a table outside in their lovely cafe and just sitting with a cup of tea and a good book and enjoying this tranquil corner of the city. Hi, so now we're in the Chelsea Physic garden. It's so nice to be
Beautiful afternoon, not too hot. It's absolutely lovely, isn't it?
It really is, just perfect temperature, which is so nice because it's been so hot in London. But it's lovely here. We've been wandering around. We've brought our books so we can also just sit and read. I've got A Traveller in Time by Alison Utley. This actually starts in Chelsea. So quite appropriate.
Yes.
And then you're reading...
I'm reading Death of Jezebel by Christiana Brand, which you had just finished and recommended, and I'm really enjoying it too, so that's lovely.
Yes, so I think we're going to maybe have a little bit more of a wander around, and then we're going to go and have tea.
I'm about ready for tea.
Yes, and we'll have it now in the lovely cafe. Good morning everyone, it is the next day. So we had a wonderful afternoon yesterday at the Chelsea Physic garden. I hope you enjoyed the bit of film that I got to do. I'm trialling out using my, well, I call it my big camera. It's actually my best camera, but I mainly use it for photography and not filming. But I had bad news yesterday because the camera repair shop phoned me again, saying that in fact, having another look at it, they actually can't fix my vlogging camera. So I'm trying to just kind of move on from that, and obviously it's a nuisance, but at least it's inspiring me to have a go with what is hopefully a bit of a better camera anyway, even if it's not ideal because it is quite a big camera. I'm just taking the plunge and having a go with using this one as much as possible, so I hope that it will be all right. But I'm excited because this morning we're going to a bookish friend of mine's place. My mum and I have been invited to Tea or like 11s by Rebeka Russell, who is the founder of Manderley Press, which is an independent publishing company I've talked quite a lot about on my channel because I really love the books that Rebeka has published so far. With the press, I've spoken about Edinburgh by Robert Louis Stevenson, The Armourer's House by Rosemary Sutcliffe, and then the most recent one, which I absolutely adored, which was Appointment with Venus. Oh, that is such a good book. I so recommend all of them, but like that last book in particular just really tugged at my heartstrings. It was such a wonderful story. So I'm really excited to be going to Rebeka's house to see where Manderley Press first started, and I think it's a bit of a, kitchen table sort of company. She does a lot of the work from her home, so I can't wait to sort of see the setup and also get to meet her in person, because I've just chatted a bit with her through sort of emails and messages on Instagram. So I'm really looking forward to that, and hopefully I'll be able to bring you along with me. But we'd better get off now because we have to get the train. Okay, hello again. So I'm here with Rebeka Russell, the founder of Manderley Press, in her absolutely gorgeous home. I was just telling you that I can't get over how amazing your place is.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, it's just so stunning. And I said we have to film with all of the bookcases behind us because that's just perfect.
Well, it just feels completely like a normal home wall for me, so I'm really glad that you like it.
I do, yeah. I mean, as you know, a house full of books is my kind of house, and I've had the best afternoon. It's gone almost all morning and afternoon.
I think we could probably carry on until about 2 a.m.
Yeah, I think we could so easily. It's just so amazing, like meeting someone so in sync and so bookish, and I love it. So you'll all recognise Rebeka's lovely books from Manderley Press. I've been raving so much about Appointment with Venus, which is one of my favourite books that I've read so far in 2022 for sure. It is so lovely. And then The Armourer's House is such another big favourite of mine. This is a gorgeous children's book. And then, of course, Edinburgh was your very first one that you published.
Very first one, yeah.
Just last autumn, right?
Yeah, just in time for Robert Louis Stevenson Day in Edinburgh, which is held every year.
Oh, it's
the first
perfect.
one after lockdown. So yeah, it's a year. I can't believe it.
Gosh, no, I can't either, but you've just done such an incredible job already. I love your books because they're so beautiful. Like the design and the quality is amazing. And then I'm so excited because you've given me the new book that's coming out.
Yeah, that's
so lovely.
It's coming out in October. It's our autumn title. But we got a little bit organised in advance and we printed it alongside our summer one so that we'd have it well in advance.
Well, I'm so excited to see it, and it's so beautifully wrapped. I love how you sort of colour coordinate the ribbon and the tissue paper with the book, and it's got like a little postcard and the bookmark, and I'm going to unwrap it. So excited. This one sounds amazing. Oh, that's so beautiful.
It's lovely seeing you unwrap it because I normally spend all my time wrapping it up. So it's great to see someone do the opposite.
And it's just so stunning. I love the cover. So this one is called The Fly on the Wheel by Catherine Cecil Thurston.
That's
right?
Yep.
So beautiful. And this is one that's set in Ireland, right? Because all your books are about place, really. They all have a sense of place. And this is an Irish one.
That's right. And it was written in a summer house, the author's summer house, just outside Cork. It's in a place called Ardmore. It's by the sea, it's beautiful, and lots of authors and creatives end up there. It's quite an interesting place. But the author had her summer house there, and she also lived in, I think, Waterford City, which is where the book is set.
Okay.
And if you look on the back cover, there's a little doorway which Kathy or Fatty Burke, who did the illustrations for the book, has recreated there. The book is set on the wonderfully named Lady Lane, which is still there.
Really?
And I went there a few weeks ago and looked, and the doorways are like that.
Wow.
And so that's where this novel is set, in the most part.
Amazing. It sounds so good. It sounds like it's about an amazing sort of heroine. Is that right?
Yes.
It's got a very strong female character.
Very strong female character who is driven, she's young, she's determined, and she's very idealistic. I don't want to give too much of the plot away, but there are elements of the Brontes, there's a little bit of Tolstoy thrown in towards the end.
Wow.
And she wants to live her life as fully as possible, and she wants to love and laugh and dance, and that ends up being the arc of the story.
It sounds amazing, and I love the cover as well. You always choose sort of original artwork for your books, which I think is so special. Was this an Irish artist?
Yes.
Wow.
So the book obviously set in Waterford, so I needed someone to write the introduction who was from Waterford and an illustrator. So I set about looking quite a while ago now, and I was so lucky because Megan Nolan, who wrote the introduction, was born and brought up in Waterford. And you may know her novel Acts of Desperation, which is thoroughly brilliant and actually quite relevant to the story of this book too, so I was delighted. And then Fatty or Kathy Burke was also from Waterford, I discovered, and I didn't know until I put them both in touch that they'd actually been to school together.
That's amazing.
So that it kind of seemed to make sense. Yes, so Fatty or Kathy is a children's illustrator in the main. In fact, I've got one of her books here. She did this book on Michael Collins, but she writes them with her dad, who's an ex-primary school teacher.
Oh, wow.
And she has this wonderful, bold style, which I find sometimes quite humorous, but very evocative of the subject matter.
Yeah.
So I sent her a copy of the book, and I was really interested to find out how she would do it, because each of my books is very different so far. So she read the book and she loved Jezebel, the heroine of the story, and so here she is on the front wearing a Spanish outfit, as she does in the book, dancing.
Yeah, that's so lovely.
And then if you look on the inside at the end papers, she drew these eyes which are supposed to represent the very judgmental society she lived in, looking down
and
on her
almost like
actions,
the male gaze
as well. But then
that's amazing.
Fatty realised that they actually looked very like the cobblestones on Lady Lane where the book was set.
Funny. Yes, I can kind of see that
in the Waterford rain.
That's amazing. I just love like how much attention to detail and how much thought and love goes into each one of your books. I think it's why I love them so much. I mean, not just for the stories, but because there's so much passion behind them, which is so special. But I'll obviously link to Manderley Press for anyone who wants to find out a bit more about you and all of the amazing titles, because they're all brilliant. I can't wait to read this myself, and obviously I'll be telling you all about it. I can't wait to read it really soon and review it.
I
It
really
sounds
hope you
so
enjoy it.
good. Oh, I know. I can't wait to try it. But we've been here so long, we've been chatting so much. It's been amazing. And just seeing your beautiful home has been so lovely.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you
here.
here.
Thank you though
for coming all this way.
Oh, it's been lovely, and thank you for taking the time to let me film a little bit as well. I thought that would be fun for us to chat.
It's my first time talking about books on camera.
Oh, it's quite fun, isn't it?
It is, yes,
it is. All right, well, I'll catch up with all of you again very, very soon. The next day, we hopped on the bus and went straight into the heart of Chelsea. I took my mum out for lunch at a restaurant called Medlar, which had a wonderful French-inspired set lunch menu. My mum turned 60 earlier in the summer, and although we celebrated at home in Yorkshire, we took advantage of our trip to London to have a double celebration. We thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. After our fabulous meal, we visited some favourite Chelsea bookshops. World's End Bookshop, a second-hand one, and then the famous John Sando Books. We'd booked to see the Carlyle House, the former home of the writer Thomas Carlyle and his wife Jane. The house is a beautiful National Trust property in Chelsea, and we were very keen to see it, having both just read The Carlyles at Home by Thea Home, which was republished by Persephone Books. I so recommend reading the book and visiting the house for a fascinating insight into historic Chelsea and literary London. Hi everyone, so we're back home in the flat now. It's pretty hot in London today, so we're definitely flagging a bit by this point. Just got my flask of water. We've been pretty lucky with the weather being not too hot actually, but today it's definitely got pretty warm. But we had such a wonderful day. Our lunch at Manderley was amazing. Mum and I really love French food. We lived in France for 10 years altogether, and it was a very French-inspired menu at Manderley, and it was absolutely superb. Just amazing food. We both had a wonderful time, and if you're looking for somewhere that's a little bit more special, I so recommend going there. It felt very celebratory, but the service was amazing. It was quite laid back still, and just a really nice place to have a fabulous lunch. So that was really amazing, and the Carlyle House was also such a treat. I'm really glad that I read the Persephone book about the house before going, and Mum read it as well in advance of our visit there, and I think that added so much to the experience actually. It really brought the book to life, and it helped knowing more about Jane and Thomas Carlyle and their life there. I felt that really added to our experience of the house. So the guides there were really great, and if you're in London, it's really a National Trust property to head to. I think there's so much that is of interest, and the area surrounding it, that part of Chelsea, is so picturesque. It's really pretty, beautiful little back streets. You can take lovely photographs along there, and it's also just a really idyllic stroll through London to walk those streets right by the Carlyle House. So I really recommend having a stroll in the area too, and it's a great excuse to just head that way if you're going to the house. But I would also say try and read The Carlyles at Home by Thea Home first from Persephone Books, because I think it really adds to your experience of the place. But then we went book shopping, first to a little second-hand bookshop, and then we went to John Sando Books, and of course bought some books. So I thought I'd do a little book haul with you. First, I'll show you the books that I got in the second-hand bookshop, which I think was called something like End of the World Books. I always forget quite what it's called, a World's End book, something like that. But you would have seen it in my little filmed clip. And they had some beautiful second-hand books, like they had some Virginia Woolf first editions of The Common Reader for like over £1,000 for the pair. So we just kind of stared at them in their case. But it was really nice just to see them. So some very expensive books, but also some like secondhand paperbacks, which, as you can see, what I picked up. So, you know, I do enjoy the British Library crime classics books, and I do often pick them up secondhand. And this is one I didn't have already. It's called Death of a Busybody. And it just sounds like a very classic golden age crime style mystery set in a small English village, and I just thought it would be quite fun, and I really liked the cover of this one too. So I was really pleased to pick that up secondhand. And then a couple of books that I already have, but I couldn't resist the old Penguin editions of them. The old Penguin covers are so iconic. I just love their old orange and cream covers. And I got Barchester Towers by Anthony Trollope, which is one of my very favourite Trollope books. So I was really happy to find the old Penguin version of it. So yeah, I got that one, which I think looks lovely. And then I picked up Cousin Harriet by Susan Tweedsmuir. I already have a hardback of this with a dust wrapper, but again, I just couldn't resist that iconic penguin cover. It really makes me in the mood for autumn, actually. And I don't know if this edition is illustrated or if it's just the cover. I think it's just the cover, but I just like that illustration on the cover. And yes, I was really pleased to find that one, and they were very reasonable, so I was happy to pick those up. And then we went to John Sandoe, which is always so wonderful to browse through. It's like entering a little treasure trove when you go into that bookshop. It's really amazing. And I picked up, very excitingly, 2 of the new sort of mini Penguin cloth-bound classics. So I got Lolly Willows by Sylvia Townsend Warner. I do already have an edition of this, but just a paperback. And I love this one. And look how autumnal the cover is. I think that that's just perfect for autumn. So I was really thrilled to get that one. And then I also got this edition of Lady Susan, again in the mini sort of penguin cloth-bound edition. I really like that because in the bigger penguin cloth-bound, Lady Susan is in amongst love and friendship and sort of lots of like miscellaneous writing of Jane Austen. It doesn't have its own little volume, so it's really nice to have it just separate in this one, because I actually really like Lady Susan. If you've never read it, I really recommend reading it. It's such a fun, witty, light read. Lots and lots of fun, that one. So I was so pleased to get those, and I can't wait for, they're doing Street Haunting by Virginia Woolf, that essay that you may remember I quoted from in my London video from last October. Well, Penguin are bringing out a little cloth-bound mini edition of that essay by Virginia Woolf, and I'm really eager for that, but I think that's not coming out until November. However, I'm looking forward to adding that one to my little collection. And then I picked up a Slightly Foxed book. You know how much I loved Slightly Foxed and their wonderful memoirs that they republish in their beautiful cloth-bound editions. And I already have Lark Rise by Flora Thompson as part of their Candleford set, but I hadn't yet got the sequel, which holds both Over to Candleford and Candleford Green. So I've got this one as well. So I was really thrilled to pick that up. And then I also picked up a Persephone book. I got Patience by John Coates, and I was pleased because they have the bookmarks still when you buy them from John Sandoe. And I don't know if you can see a little head there, but the cat is just there. I don't know if you can see a little bit of Leo's tail or not, but in case you're wondering what that is. And the other cat, Simba, is just down there eating. If you hear a bit of a crunchy noise, that's what's going on there too. So I'd read Patience years and years ago, actually, over 10 years ago, and I hadn't enjoyed it as much as I thought I would at the time. I was quite underwhelmed by it. But then recently I read a little Persephone letter. I can't remember if it was a letter. I think it was an email, a sort of newsletter that went out about Patience, and they sort of highlighted it and talked a bit more about it. And I thought, I really don't remember it at all, and I'd like to read it again and see if I like it any better. Now I'm a bit older, what would I think of it now? So I picked it up again because I'm curious to try this one again. It was a Persephone book I'd sort of had expected to like, and was surprised that I hadn't enjoyed it that much. So I wonder what I'll make of it now. Obviously I'm hoping I'll enjoy it more this time around when I'm a bit older, but we'll see. However, I was really pleased to get it, and I love the end papers on this one too. Those are so pretty, aren't they? So I was thrilled about that. And then, just when we were at the counter paying, Mum spotted this edition of The Happy Reader, which is a literary magazine that I occasionally pick up. It's not one of my absolute favourites, like I wouldn't buy every issue, but sometimes there's something really interesting in one of their issues, and that's why I picked up this one actually. It's because they have an article called Ways to Read Middlemarch, and that takes up pretty much the whole last half of the magazine, and it looks really interesting. Just lots of different ideas about Middlemarch, and like Rebeka Mead, who wrote My Life in Middlemarch, which is a really good book, has written an article, and then I think it's like other people reflecting a bit on the book, and I don't know, just different imaginings of the novel. I'm just really interested. I think they sort of imagine what some of the characters might look like too. Like this is Rosamond, for instance. So I just thought it looked really interesting, and I am quite tempted to have a project this autumn of reading Middlemarch. I haven't decided definitely if I will do that or not yet, but I really am tempted to. So that's why I was also really eager to pick up this, because I thought that was really interesting. Maybe it's a sign that I should read Middlemarch again. And then I just picked up the John Sando catalogue, which you can, I think, request them to send you, or you can pick it up online. Like just look at it, online, and it's really worth looking at. I always enjoy reading their catalogue, so I was happy to pick that up. So a really lovely day in London again. I feel very lucky to be having such a nice holiday here, and it was really wonderful to have a lovely day out with my mum as well and do some book shopping. We always have so much fun together, and we're really getting to do lots of our favourite things on this trip, which is so nice. But anyway, I'm going to go make a cup of tea, get some more cold water as well, and just go and relax and look at my lovely books. So I'll probably see you again tomorrow for more adventures. Simba is showing a lot of interest in my books. Aren't you, Simba? Yes. I think I will probably make him a reader before this holiday is out. He certainly has every opportunity, don't you, Simba? Hi everyone, so you can see that I'm back in Yorkshire now. I just wanted to hop on and just finish off the vlog today. Mum and I had such a wonderful time in London. We thoroughly enjoyed ourselves, and it was so lovely to be back in the city again and to catch up with friends. At the end of our time, we mainly went to exhibitions, and it was hard to film in them. I couldn't really film. But I thought in just wrapping up this vlog, I'd share two of the ones that we went to with you, because I really recommend them. We went to one at the Dulwich Picture Gallery called Reframed the Woman in the Window. This is the catalogue that I got from the exhibition. And it was so good, really poignant, really interesting, all about women in windows and some of the cultural history to that image. There were some really poignant images from the pandemic as well, with sort of relatives like touching through the glass. So it went all through the ages and was fascinating. If you get the chance, I really recommend going to it. And then the other exhibition we really enjoyed was the Beatrix Potter exhibition at the V&A. The catalogue is so good. I really recommend getting it. We loved the exhibition, but it was quite dark and crowded, and sometimes it was hard to really get close enough to see all of the artwork and letters and things on display, because all of her artwork was so tiny as well. It was a bit harder to see, and I was really happy to get the catalogue because of that, because you can really sort of get in close to all her tiny little letters and illustrations and things, and have a really good look at them printed in here, which is really nice. So I would really recommend the catalogue, even if you can't get to the exhibition. I think this catalogue's really good, and it's a beautiful book in its own right, and one I definitely recommend for Beatrix Potter fans. But of course it was wonderful to see the exhibition in person as well, and we had a lovely time at the V&A. But I know this vlog has gone on and on, so I better just wrap it up now. But I hope you enjoyed seeing a bit of my time in London, and I hope that you had a bit of inspiration if you're planning a trip to London at all in the future. I definitely recommend all of the museums and art galleries that we went to. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.